Hey you, how are you doing? That's kind of where I want to start with this video, but I'm also like, where do I begin? Welcome to what I hope is going to be the restart of me getting back into practicing my own creative side, where I share a bit more of my thoughts and also capture memories, which is kind of why I started this whole video editing thing. But after graduating university earlier this year, I somehow just hit a creative block. I also lost the time and energy with work, and then also lost confidence in being able to share things and thoughts when I've been feeling so lost myself. But I think that's the point of this too. I think sometimes we feel like we have lots figured out, at least for the next, few months. And then sometimes we feel really lost, and it's never just one set way of being. So I was just thinking about it and thought that I want to have the courage to share thoughts that are also incomplete, and the good moments and the bad moments of life happening, to reflect on the process in a way that can maybe be a bit relatable to someone else. And in the end, I should say that I'm really just doing this for myself and not to please anyone, as none of us should. But I sometimes feel a bit alone with my overthinking when I know that there's a lot of us that feel or think the same way about certain things, or we experience similar moments at different times. And I think it would be nice for us to feel a little less alone in this world. Of course, I would love to share the happy thoughts I have and the less deep moments too, because within a life of deeper thoughts and just ruminating on things, life can also be very simple and fun, and that is just as important to acknowledge. But going back to this question, how are you doing? I guess when I hear people respond that they're doing really well and that this has happened or that has happened, it is really one of the nicest things to hear. And over the past 2 to 3 months, I sometimes wish that I had a better response similar to that when people ask me this question. And I can definitely shape my response or maybe my mindset to just focusing on the good things, which of course there's a lot. But the truth is that I am really quite burnt out right now, and I feel like I want to share these thoughts that I have right now as well, because I know that it's okay to be in this negative space too, and that it's not forever either. And instead of just sharing the good side of things, obviously I want to be able to share some of the more vulnerable sides so that it's easier for us to feel like it's okay to be in this space too. Luckily, these moments right now in November that you're seeing, I finally got a weekend to just take things a bit slower, which was such a blessing because the weekdays go by very work-focused, which is all about productivity as a part of my corporate job. But just last week, the truth is that I cried at the office. I just broke down in front of my boss and my work best friend, who is also just one of my closest friends now, which I'm so lucky to have. But of course, it was really embarrassing to do so, and a part of me was like, am I really weak and unable to contain my emotions? Which of course now I am like, no, it's fine to cry, and that's a very human thing to do. But of course also now when I think about it, it was kind of, or at least in Japanese, one of those yachatta moments. But the truth is that I was so burnt out and frustrated about a lot of things from the past few months with this job. The thing is, though, when I actually step out of the picture, I also know that this really doesn't deserve so much of my mental space. There's a lot of other good things in my life too, but because I inevitably spend so much time with my work, it does hold some significance in my life, and therefore to how I feel and act. But in having that burnout moment too, which was an accumulation of not having or creating any time for myself, and feeling as if I had no time for others, I kind of hit a moment which is now lingering with me, where I asked, how would I want to live better then? And a part of that for me was also about asking, how do I want to be a better human? And I guess I asked that to myself because truthfully, I don't have the courage to just quit my job and start over right now, and I'm not sure if that's really the answer. But having a job doesn't mean that I can't do other things, such as, at the very least, trying to nurture myself to be a better human at the same time. Which I'm realizing is actually really hard to do because it's easy to get consumed in not creating any time for that. I think with work, what I have found, and maybe this is probably something quite relatable, is that it's easy to just wake up, go to work, stay a bit longer, come back and be super tired, scroll on Instagram for a few hours because we just don't want to think anymore, repeat that, and then the weekend goes by very quickly where you're catching up with people or trying new things, which is all really great, but then within that, there is very little time to be by yourself slowly, or kind of creating time for yourself to be slow, unless you make that time intentionally, which is something that I haven't quite gotten around to, and something that I'm trying to figure out now. But going back to this better human idea, I guess I really like this idea because we will probably always find ourselves in situations that are not perfect, and situations where we might not always just have an abundance of time without any worry or a type of commitment, such as your job, that doesn't bring you any frustration. And so I think for me, being a better human is just about creating the time to think about things that matter to you, and being aware of the things that are happening in this world, whether directly in front of you or somewhere much further away, instead of putting your own feelings aside to being disengaged from the way the world is moving in which you are a part of. And that allows us to have sometimes uncomfortable but really important conversations. And I think being a better human is about having enough time to rest, and therefore enough energy to be kind and think more kindly for others, and also this shared planet that we call home. Because the busier and more mindless we get, the less we really have the energy to care for ourselves, others, and the environment. And I think being a better human is also about having the time to make meaningful choices, whether that includes saying no to certain things or certain people, and being intentional about your choices and not just letting life go by. And of course, you don't need to put so much meaning to everything, so it's also about having time to have fun and be playful and curious, and with that, not take things or accept things just as they are. Because it is really easy to fall into the repetitiveness where you never quite get the time to question things around you, or whether things could be different when we should be, whether that ends up being for much lighter personal things or more deeper things. And so these are all things that I'm thinking about how I could be a better human, and I'm realizing that it also really comes down to having time to be slow, which is not to say that you can't experience many things and do a lot or enjoy a fast-paced life, which I occasionally do enjoy, but I think that being slow allows you to, in this world which is really confusing and just like always in the back of my mind at least, pretty daunting with climate change and terrible leaders and so many issues I can't believe we still face in this day and age. It's so important to create time to be slow so that you can think and feel and also enjoy, which all lets you live a bit more consciously. So I don't know if I just rambled without really getting anything across, but I guess my main point is that I am currently navigating through life of adulthood, where I'm trying to find balance between my job and my personal time and who I am within all of that. And in my personal time, I really want to enjoy that time doing all the things that I just said so that I can try being a better human, which I know that I will be most proud of at the end of everything. And I think by focusing on nurturing myself to being a better human among all the other things going on, I will hopefully be able to respond to that question of how are you doing and how is life, with less weight put on the most obvious things such as work. So if you're also in the same boat, just in a different situation or maybe a very similar situation, I hope that we can both stand up for ourselves in drawing our boundaries where we need to with our time, and then finding time to be more human.